basically it's just sitting there for me to do whatever.
You want to face camera or face each other?
Oh,
What's better?
both, I guess. Like you can look at the camera when you're talking, but I mean, I'll look at you when I'm talking to you. You know. I guess we kind of already started. Guys, welcome to kind of like a dudes in a garage. So it's like our dudes on a dock, but we're in a garage because it's a little chilly outside.
It's winter time.
Yeah, it's winter time. Almost, I guess, arguably, you could say it was springtime. Let me introduce Gabriel Richer. He is one of our lake pros. He does amazing reports on Ray Roberts. You go to like Crockett. You fish Louisville. You fished Nakona recently. You're in the Gainesville Bass Club, correct?
Yes,
Yep. So he's fishing a whole bunch of different lakes that we report on. If you don't know already, head over to lakeprotackle.com. We've got free fishing reports there. Gabe, tell them sort of about the reports.
So each time you go in the water, if ever you think you want to get into the program, go fish, go have fun, and catch fish, catch nutfish. Just say pretty much what you do, what you caught them on, and leave it simple. But at the same time, if you say that they're on rocks, well, is it small rock, peat rock, chunk rock, boulders, riprap? It's just that extra little thing you can do and help. That way, if you say, oh, they're on rocks and 20 feet of water, well, they're on peat rock. So, somebody can look at it and say, I know where I can find that and help somebody else. So I think that's about the
that's the general gist of what the reports are. So we've got a whole team of lake pros, what we call them. Gabe gets an amazing like 25% off tackle when he comes in. He can also order online, 30% off rods, and like 20% off reels. So that's a thank you that we do for our lake pros that get us all this great information. It's current. You get us the water temp, water clarity. That's always on there, guys. And, you know, depending on which lake pro it is, you know, Gabe does amazing reports. Like, he's very open and free about what you give us. Like, on the reports, like, he'll tell us exactly what you're throwing, what colors, and, like, the areas that you're fishing. You know, obviously, you're doing tournaments, and it's tough a lot of the times
to,
that's
like,
the give out certain stuff.
I'm pretty lucky that I got a lot of free time that I can go and pre-fish or fun fish. And the amount of hours I spend and other lake pros spend to be able to find fish, it's pretty substantial. So if having a report like this can save somebody a day of figuring them out, well, there you go, you have it. And it takes a second to go click on it. Oh, yeah, they're on the dam. Easy enough.
Easy peasy.
Easy.
You want to go catch some fish.
Yeah, you want to catch fish and not put the work in. You're still going to have to put the work in.
Yeah, you still got to be able to catch fish. Like, you can put someone in front of fish.
Exactly.
But, like, will they catch them?
You have to hold your mouth right.
Yep.
That's a big thing.
Hey, I jerk my jerk bait a little different from you.
And I do, yeah. we all jerks are rod different.
Oh, I guess like for the people on the channel here, tell them a little more about yourself, kind of what you do.
For a living?
Yeah.
I'm a horseshoer, so make my own schedule. That's always a big plus of being able to make a day to go fish. And
what's the technical name for like what you do? Like, is it like
a horseshoer, a farrier?
Farrier.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, they're both the same.
That's more like I remember Tim telling me like he's a farrier. I was like, what the heck's a farrier,
Nobody knows.
Dude?
Yeah, horseshoer is a little
more direct.
A little more direct, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
do you think Kayla wants a shout out?
Yeah, I can say a big shout out to my wife. It's my grand opening in her office. She opened a chiropractic business in Pilot Point, and bet you when she watches this a little later on, she'll know why I'm not there to cut a ribbon with her. We got more important stuff to do.
Kayla, if you're watching this, Gabe's doing some awesome stuff for us, so we appreciate him here. And he definitely said he wants to be over at your ribbon cutting ceremony. So, but yeah, so Kayla Richer, his wife, she's opening up a chiropractic business, which is super awesome in Pilot Point.
Yep.
And I know my back hurts when I look down at LifeScope for 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
That's super awesome. Little small business opening up. So guys, if you're in the Pilot Point area or you're looking for a good chiropractor, Kayla and Gabe, they're a super awesome couple. They come in all the time. Kayla loves fishing too.
Yes.
She catches some big fish.
She's the partner I want to bring all the time, but she outfishes me most of the time. She does. She really does.
Yeah. So spring fishing, Gabe.
Love it.
Spring? Do you though? do you though?
Well, I'm glad you said LifeScope because I like to fish LifeScope pretty much like you do. And lately, our past two tournaments, we did really, really good.
Yep.
With no electronics.
Yeah.
Each time we were
so tough.
trying to pinpoint fish and light scope fish, pretty much that's what it's called, and could not get them to commit. And you can go both ways. I feel like there's two approach you can go on the spun to like simplify it. You can go beat the bank and try and find bedded fish, which I don't like.
I feel like it's so inconsistent.
I do not like that.
The cold front that came in today, it dropped the water. I don't know what it did to the water, but air temps are down probably 15 degrees.
Yes.
Which is, to me, I put a hoodie on and a sweater on when it's in the 60s because I'm freezing. So I can't even imagine what the fish are doing, right?
If you got bibs and a sweater on, it's kind of tough deal to go bed fish. Some people still do it.
Right.
But
and I know the winner, you said, I think you said the winner of the Ray Roberts tournament caught a bedfish or something. Someone with big fish caught a bedfish.
Yeah, someone had big fish at an 8 and it was on bed. But that guy, I forgot his name. He had 2 fish. He had an 8 and a 2.
Yep.
Which,
hero or like 0, which I mean, he had a hero, but he had
he didn't have the other 4 that has to go with it to be able to win. There's some guys that can fish in the big Gainesville Bass Club.
Yep.
There's some really good guys in there, and if you want to go that approach, you got to make sure you know where you can find a dozen beds,
right?
Because you may not get bit on every one of them.
Yeah, and every part of the lake on Ray Roberts is so different. So for those of you who are fishing Texas High School coming up for the regional tournament, I mean, we both know, like, you fished it forever. I've fished it since high school. I mean, what, 9 years ago maybe. And you go back to one spot where you caught them the last time and they're just not there.
Or the next day.
Yeah, next day. I mean, a couple hours can make a huge difference.
And I was going to get there because we had a tournament last weekend over there. And we found all our fish in the same 50-yard stretch. We started on the offshore brush pile in the morning because we saw a bunch of bass suspended on top of it, which is game time, let's go.
Yeah.
Could not get him to commit. So instead of losing time there, we just switched to a point that had a little peat rock on it. And caught her 5 small fish, not small, but keeper size, but they're going to get called
15,
quick.
16 inches.
Yeah, they're going to get called quick. And
well, that's what you hope.
You hope that.
I've had tournaments where you catch 5 and it's just like you don't catch anything.
And then the day's over.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, you can give your spot out or you don't have to.
No, I will. The tournament's over.
The tournament's over, all right.
You can start saying, main lake point, you can see the dam pretty much in the middle of the lake.
Yep.
I just gave the spot away. You can figure that one out.
Yep. So you were kind of mid-lake, like in the middle section. I chose to go. I personally like fishing the west side more.
Yes.
It's a little easier for me. There's less timber to compete with.
Yep.
Generally, a lot less boaters out there.
True.
From what I heard from some of our other teams fishing the east side, like way east side, back in like Buck and all the way up Indian and stuff, like water temps for me were like 4 degrees colder.
Yes.
And I think it's just because of the mud content in that side. And typically when you're fishing the west side, I don't like to beat the bank a lot. So this goes against like every single lake I normally fish. But the west side, I beat the bank for 3 hours, caught 2 bites on a spinnerbait and a chatterbait. Now, with this cold front, I don't know what's going to happen. And with the week leading up to the tournament, I don't know what's going to happen. But I guess in your eyes, you've got more experience on the lake. What do you think is going to happen? Because there's a warm front moving right before the tournament.
So all the fish that we seen weigh in that day, there was one that was bloodied up, bedding, ready to go. Everything else, all the fish we caught, early pre-spawn.
Okay, yeah.
So
still that main lake,
and I'm not gonna say deep because we didn't fish in 30 feet of water.
Right.
But for springtime, you think they're gonna move up.
Right. Kind of off that staging depth range where it's like 10 to 12.
8 to 12 to 15. I think the deepest fish we caught was in 15 feet of water, and they were just there. They were not trying to push shallow because the small fish was still on the same spot that we started fishing.
You just kind of backed out.
Well, we started keeping it on the bank because let's say we can keep stacking them up.
Yep.
Didn't happen. So we moved to different spots, came back maybe 2 hours later, and pulled off of the bank.
Yep.
So instead of fishing in 2 to 4 feet, 5 feet, we were fishing from 5, 8 to 15.
Yeah.
While your boat's going to be sitting in about 20, 25 feet of water.
So you were casting up up and dragging off.
Off and dragging out, yeah.
So do you think, because this is also a big thing for like swim bait fishermen, like I love swim bait fishing, and typically the way the bait moves and the better way for the fish to eat is pushing bait up against a shelf. So that means bringing it towards the bank as opposed to dragging it off the bank. Do you think you may have seen different results dragging the other way, like if you were on the bank casting out? Do you think?
So we were
from like
jig
a pre-spawn
fishing.
Perspective.
We were jig fishing, so that was not one of my concern. I think it's a lot easier to drag a jig going down than to bring it up.
Right.
So, because none of the fish we caught were suspended.
Right. They're
They
just
were all
staged.
stuck to the bottom.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
So
Interesting.
if we had a chance to see like a bigger fish, like a kicker, throw a glider on it or a mag draft or a bigger swim bait, a bigger profile to get that big bite.
Now, did you shut off your electronics the entire time while you were doing
Always
this?
on. Always on.
Okay.
But we weren't far, like, we're bombing casts towards them.
I mean,
like
you're throwing like 50, 60-yard casts.
Yes, all the way. All the way. And some of them bit in that 5-foot range, and some of them you have to keep, like I said, it's not the most fun way to fish, dragging jig.
No, it's terrible. It's the worst thing
Especially
in the world.
for you.
No.
But it works.
Yep.
And what changed our mind that day, we had about 30, 40 hours of pre-fishing with very little luck coming into the tournament. So
just
let's try to find some fish, get bit, and then we can maybe have a different game plan. But it was just to get bit.
So did you have this area before going into the tournament, or were you kind of like, this just sets up right?
It's a spot that I knew before.
Okay.
I don't try to, and if you're a tournament angler that needs a couple tip, I don't ever pre-fish where I'm gonna fish.
Right.
I want to find out where they're not at.
Yep. That's the best. That's the best way to do it.
Eliminate as much water as I can. Then tournament day, I know where they're not at. It leaves the rest of memory.
And
You don't want to fish out of memory, but if you know you caught some fish on some good grass, rocks, it's gonna be there.
Right.
It's still gonna be there.
Oh yeah, no. That reminds me of one of my like college tournaments where, I mean, I think it was like Cumberland or something over in like mid United States, right? So pretty long ways away. And Cumberland tournament, it's a huge lake, massive lake, and we ran so far up one of these rivers that we're like, it might be a spring up there, might not, just burned like 2-3 tanks of gas in pre-fish. Like full tank of gas like every day, hurt the wallet, but we marked off so much water and we could focus on little certain areas because we'd never been there before. Like it's a little different when you have history, but when you've never been to a place, like if you're coming into high school fishing or something and you got to break these lakes down, sometimes it's just better to focus on some areas, and sometimes like if you do get to go pre-fish, which not everyone gets to do.
Not everyone can, but that's why we're trying to get reports on. Which save that a little bit of homework that guessing you have to do.
Right. Yeah. If you've got a little bit of a pattern dialed in, it makes it so much easier because it's not all the lakes here in the Metroplex you can replicate patterns.
No, and like Ray Roberts is a hard lake for that because that same pattern that you can have for a whole week, come tournament day, it may not work.
Right.
It may work somewhere else on a lake, but where you caught them.
Right. You go to one tree line or something and you catch them on a spinner bait. You go back to that tree line, you're not going to catch them on a spinner bait the next time.
They may want a drop shot. They may still be there, but they're not going to want what you threw them before.
Yeah. That's a good point. I think Ray Roberts, like typically some big bags are caught out of Roberts. So let's say spawn. It's like full effect on the east side, still slightly pre-spawn west side. For best 5 for like high school anglers, what do you think it's going to take?
I think 15 to 18 pounds is going to secure check. One team in there will catch over 20 pounds. And I will put money on it that some guys aren't going to be able to snag 20 pounds, which is not the hard thing to do on that lake. There's big fish on Ray Roberts.
I mean, you get 2 7-pounders in there. I mean, you're
set, and which is not impossible.
No,
it's not impossible to do.
You've been there several times where you've caught multiple over 7.
Yes.
I've been there not several times, but I mean, handful of times where I've caught 6s and 7s and 8s in multiple days. So I think for me, knowing Roberts and knowing how high school fishes most of the time, I'm going to say to win it, it'll probably be 26, 27.
Oh, you're going high. You're
I'm
really
going
high.
really high because I know some good river rat people who have lanes like way back up and stuff. And if they can get 2 of those bedfish, take a little bit of time to catch, those bucks, like kind of what you're doing. Spend that time. I think they can hit 27.
Yep. And temperature is very going to be depending on what temperature we get coming up.
Right.
Because it may push more of them big females shallower.
Yeah.
Which you can access them.
Yeah, and water level, guys. Water level's a huge
going
part.
down.
Water
It
level
is going
keeps
down
dropping
a lot right now.
And I think the water temps that I had in the west side were 59 to 60. I think you said you were around like 62, 63.
No, I was
almost?
colder than that.
Oh, really?
We started the day offshore with 56.
But what about in the afternoon?
60 was about the
60.
warmest I had, but we moved up away from main lake.
Okay.
A little, not in a creek, but
Yeah.
a little further
cut.
away from the actual main lake.
Yeah.
And we saw 60, but could not
Break 60?
could not break 61, let's just say it like that. And that was by 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay. Yeah. With the falling water, and I mean, it really just depends what the air temp's doing and heating up the water. But typically, I think falling water is going to draw the fish off. Cooling water is going to draw the fish off. And I think with the water temp being 60, where I was, I should have seen more fish up shallow. So that just tells me that them drawing the water out is not helping the bite up shallow.
No, because you don't want that female to go in bed in 4 feet of water.
Right. And then
and get
drought. Just dry eggs.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I think depending on what temperature is going to explain if we're still going to see a lot of pre-spawn or if it's going to see actual spawn fishing.
Right. Yeah. I think Ray Roberts always spawns late anyway.
It does.
Like Louisville, I haven't physically really seen too many beds yet. Like I've seen a couple vacant beds from like a long time, probably like a month ago. Like back in February when we had that warm snap, I was catching spotted bass on beds. Like they were doing their thing. Cause spotted bass usually spawn earlier. Like smallmouth,
older water.
Yeah, like Texoma smallmouth are already almost like spawning out by this time now when this video goes up. But I mean the whole spawn on Roberts is just so weird.
Yeah, last summer I have to go look at a picture. I got a picture of a spawning female in July. It was either June or July and bloodied up.
Golly.
So it's late. The water temperature is probably mid-70s by then.
Well, I guess that sets up right, because I know bass like to spawn around 64, 65. And that's when they're comfortable.
Yeah.
Based on like all the biologists and stuff, like at Texas Parks and Wildlife at the Hatchery Center, they say they try to regulate that water between 64 to 66, around that that range.
And it's like, there's always that golden rule of 55, they can start thinking about spawning.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not all of them all at the same time.
Yeah.
She may lay eggs today at 56.
And they can spawn multiple times too.
They do. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but that female will not always lay all her fry at one spot.
Yep.
Like, she's going to see different beds, different bucks.
She's a playa.
Well, she wants to make sure her eggs live.
Right.
If one of her nests gets raided by bluegill, bram, whatever,
then it's over.
It's over.
Yep. No, that's a good point. I actually really like that point. That leads to another interesting thing that I'm thinking about is typically, how far will a female go to lay another thing of eggs? If you catch them on one spot, how far is she going down or around the lake, maybe even
I
to
think
go spawn
fish
another place?
move more than what we think they are.
Okay.
So probably everybody's got their own thoughts on this, but I'm pretty sure if you catch a fish on the west side of a Roberts, you weigh in a Jordan.
Oh, yeah, bring her all the way over the...
I put money that she's not staying by the boat ramp.
No.
I put money that she's going, if not back to her bed, she's going to go...
to some other bed. And, bass...
She will travel more than I think we think.
That's another thing, because on Louisville, I've got one spot where they always bed every single year. But a lot of the times, I can catch bedding fish, whether it be males, females, I can catch 20 fish off this one bed throughout the season. And it's super nice because I pull up there, pitch a little jig at them, catch 2, come back later, catch more, keep catching
will
them
replenish.
for weeks, for weeks, and they'll keep using their beds.
Yep.
So, No, I think Ray Roberts will be interesting. I'd like to go out there this weekend, but it's a little.
Well, there's a big tournament there this weekend too.
TTO's there, right?
TTO's going to be there this weekend.
Yeah, so I wonder what. I think this video is going to go out mid next week, so I wonder what the results will be from that. And I think a lot of high school anglers might get some information from the TTO
Which
tournament.
will also go and be good, because I think there's going to be another week to week progression on the spawn over there. And having different clubs, different tournament series.
Gainesville, TTO, and I think there's another one going on at the same time as TTO.
I don't know.
I think Ray Roberts is getting hit every week leading up to the high school tournament. And there might even be one at the same time as the high school tournament.
But there's also fish in this lake. Like a lot of people, I'm on the page on Facebook, say, I've been going there 5 times without a bite and this. There's a lot of fish, but I feel they always congregate at the same spot.
Right. Kind of like Texoma.
Kind of like Texoma. Texoma is a big sand lot. If you find one place that you see fish today,
they're going to move somewhere else.
Keep going. But at one point, you know there was fish there. Ray Roberts is places that fish never seen. There's never been a fish on that spot. You may think it looks good, but to them, it's their environment. If they don't like it, they're not going to be there.
Yeah, I think the brush bite, for me, I would think brush piles in that staging range.
Always good.
Like if you find that 8-foot range with a brush pile. And the hard thing is there's so much timber on that lake. That's why I like the west side. Like I've got some brush piles on the west side, and like the shallower flats and like points and stuff. That set up almost perfect. Like I guess you can kind of take this this like time of year, compare it to like Lake Eufaula when MLF was at Eufaula. DC, all the jerkbait forward-facing sonar guys are fishing brush piles in this like offshore. 8 to 12 foot of water offshore, like staging areas where fish are about to push in. So I think that is like a big primary pattern that could play, of course, a spawning fish if it's sunny. And it's all time of year because it's all moon phases because we just had the full moon. I think today.
Yeah, like today or yesterday.
Yeah. So depending on the moon phases, it really, I think, does affect how many waves of fish pull up.
Will pull up.
I think without this cold front, it would have been the biggest wave that we've seen in quite a while.
Yes, because you'd had a warming water, full moon.
Yep.
Everything, the stars line up pretty much for them to move up. But you said something about a lot of standing timber on Ray Roberts.
Oh, yeah. There's so much standing timber. So dumb.
I feel each time I get some success fishing standing timber, it's not just trees. You just don't fish trees. Fish trees on a ledge, next to rocks. It's like a grass fisherman. If you see a hydrilla next to reeds, you got 2 types of grass, you will probably have a fish sitting on it.
Well, you've got a better chance of having being one of them.
Yeah, so if you see standing timber that has nothing on the flat, you may have to flip or cast at every single one just to have a chance. If you're on the side of a creek swing, well, you got 2 types. You got creek swing, and you got your standing timber. More eggs in a basket.
Yep. No, I like that. Yeah, that's a good point. I haven't thought, because I don't fish a lot of the timber on Roberts. Like, I'm usually rock-based or like...
It's just, I think it's treacherous compared to like Lake Fork that every...
lanes and...
Not just the lanes, but if you aim between trees, you will get your lure back.
Oh,
With Roberts, there's a lot of trees that are still submerged that you will not see.
Right, that's true.
Forward-facing sonar helps to decipher that, make sure you don't lose $100 worth of jerkbait in a day, which we did. We both did.
A couple times.
We've been there, done that. But if you can avoid it,
please
do.
Give me my jerkbait back.
Yeah. I wish I could.
Put some 15-pound line on and just rip them out.
Yep.
I guess like big players. I mean, for baits, we covered like some patterns that we think are gonna play. Obviously, your pattern should hold.
Yes. Depending on how deep they're going to be fishing, if the jig don't work, I would go straight.
Yeah, go home.
Go home. They're not going to bite. No, I'd go for Senko right away.
Senko?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if they are pushed up like they should,
right,
you can't beat a Senko.
Well, let me see what the weather's actually doing. I'm pretty sure we're having a pretty good warming trend leading up into it. Because I know the cold front's going to end here pretty soon. It's going to get, by the tournament, it's going to get back into the like high 70s.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, like
Yeah. The nights warming up a lot. That helps.
yes, nighttime lows right now will go from 45 up to like 55 and then up to 63. And as long as your night temps aren't dipping too far below the water temps that you want, so let's say I want 64-degree water temp.
Yes.
That nighttime temp can't get below like 60 without really
affecting your water temperature.
Right. So once you see that, and ideally, you know, the warmer the daytime, the tougher it's going to be for me. Just because I feel like those fish are always moving.
Because you will captain this tournament, right?
No, I'm not actually. I coach.
Okay, you're just gonna coach.
Yeah, this is public information, so I can give away whatever I want in this one.
Okay.
But I think, like for me, like especially springtime, if it's a high sun, super hot day, those fish are generally for me moving a lot more, and it's harder to catch them. What I would prefer is still a warm day, but just like cloud cover rolling in and out, so that way those fish are moving, but they're also gonna stop on like certain areas.
Yep.
So as it warms up, I mean, we never know.
And I just said Senko would be my go-to.
Yep.
If the jig does not work, what would be your go-to?
Well, I like forward-facing sonar, and for me, the shallow diving jerkbaits for me have been working really, really well. Typically, I'm working them like a lipless, like as fast as I possibly can.
We know that pattern really well.
Yep, we know that pattern really well. So something like the Vision 110 plus one is close. I don't think you can hit it hard enough because a plus one junior is so small and the bill is so small on it that you almost like twitch it, which I think something like the KVD 200 DD, I think so. It's like the KVD 200 size, but it's like a little deeper one. You can hit it super hard and not have it burn out.
Or I'm gonna give you another option. The one I really like on Squaw Creek last fall was that pointer 90 or pointer 100. It's a smaller profile that compared to like a 110.
That's funny.
That you have to finesse fish.
Right.
That pointer, you
Just
can hammer it.
That's funny because I just did a video on that today.
That pointer?
Yeah. Oh. It's the exact same color too, the Pro Blue.
Pro Blue.
Yep.
You can't beat it.
Yeah. So the jerkbait would be probably number one if I'm going to cover water. Number two is going to be like a very small swim jig.
Okay.
Because I think the swim jig, whether it's like bluegill pattern or like just shad pattern, like you can work a swim jig a whole lot of different ways. And I think a lot of people just kind of mix it in with like try to keep it at the surface, like working it like that, and like pads and you see in like Florida. Or like Seminole or something like that, where it's shallow cover. A lot of people don't realize that you can take a swim jig. I was doing this at Louisville the other day. You can take a swim jig, sink it down like 10 foot of water, and just reel it. And that's
for sure. It's versatile. It's a versatile bait.
Super versatile. And I mean, I do that with forward-facing sonar. I'm not talking like do it with forward-facing sonar the way I'm doing it, but like you can just take it to a random bank, just chuck it out there, and just reel it in.
For sure.
But,
and single hook, big hook.
Yeah. I mean, Josh Jonesing him, that's what he does. Little swim jig.
Yep.
Scopes them with it, but if you don't know or you
don't
have forward-facing
that's a different animal.
Sonar,
That's a different discussion by itself.
Yep. Typically, I'll probably just put on like a 4-inch swim bait. Pretty big profile. It just has the skirt to keep it down. It's basically just a swim bait with a little bulk.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's my top two. It's going to be shad or bait fish patterns, not craw patterns per se. I guess if you forced my hand and I had to go like finesse, it'd be a wacky rig, Senko. Like.
Yeah, but it's hard to beat that Senko during the spawn. Everybody knows that. There's nothing you can hide about it. It is a tremendous spawn spring bait.
Yeah, you can drop shot it, you can just weightless, you can have it weighted. I mean, Texas rig.
Around grass, rocks, it don't hang up on nothing.
Yep. I know the fluke bite's pretty good on Roberts.
I'm excited for this. I don't usually throw it early in the season. Because I'm going to be doing a whole lot of it for the rest of the year. So I'm trying to not to get burned up early with the fluke. It's like a jerkbait. You don't fish a jerkbait in July. Well, I do.
But I have live scope and I can find it.
Exactly. But the fluke is so versatile, just like a Senko, weightless. You can fish aggressive, slow, and it goes everywhere.
Carolina rig it, Texas rig it, split shot it. I mean, there's so many different ways to rig these.
Well, I'll just ask you what kind of fluke you like.
Yeah.
Zoom Super Fluke.
Zoom Super Fluke for me. Now, there's a caveat to this. I don't know why the recording stopped, guys. I'm just going to cut this in wherever it fits. But we're going to be talking about some flukes now. He asked me what my favorite fluke is. I said Zoom Super Fluke. With a caveat, Zoom has different plastics in different fall rates and salt content in their flukes, which is kind of weird. So like this guy here, this is the smoking shad, the Zoom Super Fluke,
salt block.
right? So
Good color, by the way.
This one's a great color. Now the issue is with this one, it has no salt in it.
No.
So
hard to cast. Extremely
very hard to cast, and it doesn't sink. So with these are going to be my like split shot rigs, Carolina rigs, something that where I can drag it and it's just going to go everywhere
at once.
Right. You know, if I do throw a weightless one, it's going to be probably like this watermelon red here, where I mean immediately when you take it out of the package, I mean you just feel that extra weight in them.
You can play with it, you feel a lot more salt in
the
it.
salt, yeah, the salt comes out. So that's my main caveat with like flukes is there's so many different ones, and I'm trying to even think of like another company that makes like a really good fluke.
Caffeine shad.
Okay,
caffeine shad. That is my fluke. So, I've only got one in one color.
Yep. Yeah, the caffeine shad for me is a little bit different just because it has a different tail action. I think so like the secondary action on a caffeine shad for me, whole lot better. If I want something like super finessey,
you have to go with a
Zoom 100%.
You have to. If you're trying to work something a lot faster that sinks fast too, because there's so much salt. It's not a bait that you can catch 5 fish with it.
No, yeah.
The lifespan on it is very small.
Now there's some tricks you can do. You can do like a screw lock or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. But by itself, it's not a bait that lasts long.
Right.
But it's the opposite of the Zoom.
Yeah.
You can spool a reel if you want to.
Oh,
it
100%.
casts so hard.
It's so heavy. It's I mean it's what do you think? It's probably like 3/8 of an ounce.
At least a 3/8.
At least. Yep. But I mean you're just Texas rigging that.
Texas rigging. Yeah. I don't know.
Have you scrounger headed them?
Not yet. I'm pretty simple. I always just Texas rig, hide that hook again, and around grass. It's not like a Zoom one that you can fish more open water.
Right.
That's slower fall. That caffeine shad just around grass.
Yep.
Any types of grass, even trees.
Yeah.
Because you can fish it fast.
You need a scrounger a freaking caffeine shad. It's so dumb. Like it just
darts everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a chatterbait on like steroids. Except like you fish it like deeper and it's not totally exposed.
It's not totally exposed yet.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what we got on the flukes, guys. I think we're running out of some time here, but we appreciate all y'all watching. Gabe,
thank you.
Thanks for coming in today.
You're welcome.
Gabe likes to make a little frequent trips in here when you're in the area.
It sucks to have a fishing addiction and a lure addiction too, and having a tackle store that's pretty close by.
Yeah, we've got some good lures.
You got everything.
Yeah, we try to.
You got everything.
I mean, we want everyone to stop here by the shop. You know, if you want to talk like this, like Gabe and I are doing, guys,
come on.
All means, bring it on. We've got water, some refreshments and stuff. But Gabe, thanks for coming in, man.
Thanks, Sam.
If you want to see his reports, head over to lakeprotackle.com. Subscribe here on YouTube. Check out the Instagram and Facebook for updates all the time. Thanks for watching. We're signing out. We'll see you next time, guys.
See you guys.